I went to every single restaurant in Harrods. Yes, Harrods, the giant luxury department store in London where you can buy a gold bar, a £300 teddy bear, or a single strawberry that probably has its own security. Fun fact, Harrods started in 1834 as a humble grocery shop, and now it's a 1.1 million square foot palace of pure temptation. Another fun fact for you is that they once had a zoo inside, and you could literally buy a lion cub to take home. Not recommended, obviously. But today I wasn't here to buy an exotic animal or overpriced candles. I was on a mission to eat my way through every single restaurant inside, and believe me, there are a lot. Now, side note, Harrods do have a food hall, but we weren't trying the food hall or any of the bars today, so if you want to try that, I can do that for another video. Let's get ready to try every bite, every sip, every dish that made my bank account scream for mercy. Grab a snack or an entire picnic, settle in and join me as I will eat my way through every restaurant in Harrods and maybe lose a bit of my dignity and savings along the way. Let's go. It made sense for the first place that we were venturing to be Harrods Cafe, because this is a place which is obviously they're proud of. It's their name. It's actually one of the only restaurants that has their name in it. Now, this was just a first little pit stop of the day as we geared up, ready to tackle so many different places. Now, we started off with a coffee and a chocky cake. I've had their chocky cake before. It's quite good. It's a good chocky cake, but it's expensive. It looks warm. It's really good. Is it? Now, my sister went to try the super expensive Jamaican blue coffee, which I actually sold to her because I was watching a video of someone going on their honeymoon to Sandals and they had this Jamaican coffee and they raved about it. Now, obviously, it's probably a little bit different than sitting on a nice beach in Jamaica sipping away on your coffee. So it wasn't anything to write home about. This is really nice life. Oh, that's strong. It was just a super expensive coffee. If we were sitting in Jamaica living our best life, it would taste a little bit different. The atmosphere here was a little bit weird and I don't know if I would go back. It kind of felt like an airport lounge sort of vibe and wasn't anything special. And I'm skimming over Harrods Cafe because that's kind of what it deserves. It doesn't deserve much time or energy because it was what it was. Nothing amazing. But I will take a little bit of time to explain the next place that we're going to, which was the Pizzeria Pascale. I think that's how you pronounce it. Now, this place was bustling. I had to queue in a department store for a restaurant. The department store restaurant thing is a real phenomenon because I just think it's such a weird concept to be in a restaurant in a department store. My head can't really get around it. It was so busy that they didn't actually have a space for me for a table. So I sat at the bar, but it kind of felt like I was in a movie. Felt very New York. If I didn't know that I was in London, I would have thought I was in New York. The atmosphere, it was electric in there. And I decided to get something simple. Because it was so expensive. This pasta was £26 for some tomato pasta. Are you joking me? This bed tastes like God's gift to the planet, this pasta. But then when I ordered, the pasta came so flipping quickly and it was piping hot. I have to say, this pasta was delicious. Oh my word, it was sensational. I actually don't think I've had pasta that delicious in a really flipping long time. It had so much flavour, even though it was just tomato. They give you the little cheese and the little pepper that you can, zhuzh it up yourself. It was delectable, but I think no tomato pasta deserves to be £26. Are you joking me? Now, if we mosey on over to the next restaurant, it is Gordon Ramsay Burger. Now, if you haven't seen, I did a video where I tried out every single Gordon Ramsay restaurant, which was so much fun. And the Gordon Ramsay Burger was probably the worst of all of his restaurants. So I kind of had low hopes and I just wanted to get it done as the start of the video because I didn't think it was going to be good. But this is why I always say, always give things a second chance, whether that's people, places, a thing. Because sometimes you can just get someone on a bad day. And I think I got Gordon Ramsay and his burgers on a bad day. Because me oh my, first of all, really fun vibe. It was clean. The staff was so lovely and attentive. Especially when you're dining by yourself. Because it can be a little bit isolating. But they didn't make me feel weird. In fact, there were actually a lot of solo diners. I do notice, and I don't know if this is just because when people are shopping, they just want to stop and have a little treat. A lot of restaurants in department stores, from my Selfridges video where I tried all the Selfridges places, are solo diners. And I wonder if it's because you're going for a shopping trip and then you're like, oh, let me just pop in and grab some food. Whereas I feel like in restaurants, I see less solo diners. So if you're feeling a little bit nervous and don't want to solo dine by yourself, but want to ease yourself in, maybe start off by going to a restaurant in a department store, because Honestly, you won't get looked at twice. Now, I will say, this is not my finest moment, but they put this knife on the table, and I thought it was my knife for my burger because it was like a big meat knife, and I used it. And then they came around and collected all the knives, and I was so mortified because I think they use that. You know when you go to Nando's and they put the little like bird as a place to be like, oh, they haven't had their food yet. I think that's what the knife was for, but they need to make that clearer and maybe not pick a knife because a little bit of a hazard. This burger was so juicy, so succulent, so delicious. I would 100% go back. It was actually so rich and the chips were really good. The staff were really good. So far, out of all of them, this is ranked my #1 spot out of the 3 places we've been to. This was ranking #1. It was so delicious. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new place to try. And today, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, no, Somewhere Cafe we are trying, which is a Middle Eastern inspired cafe. Can we just take a moment? I'm trying to race through this because otherwise it would be the longest video on the entire planet. But there are so many restaurants that Harrods has. When you look at Harrods, you don't think that it could even have that many restaurants. But it flipping does. It is huge and it's so easy to get lost in there. Anyway, Somewhere Cafe, I think this was the least busy of all of the places that I went to because the Gordon Ramsay one filled up really quickly, but the Somewhere one, it was so empty. But oh my word, we've moved on up. It's kind of just getting better and better every restaurant that we go to. So just you wait until the end. We're going to be having a gourmet time. This place, the service, he saw that I put my bag on the floor. He came over and he said, "Madam, please, would you mind me putting your bag and hanging it up for you?" I was like, be my guest. That sort of service, can't put a price on it. They kept me stocked up on my tap water, which I love when they keep you topped up on tap water. That is a 10 out of 10 for me. Because I was just about to go to another restaurant, I only got 2 bao buns, but oh my word, what a mistake, because these chicken shawarma bao buns, I could have them again right in this moment. They had a really soft bun. The design was beautiful. They were plated stunningly. They had their little design on it. They had some chicken shawarma, which was so flavoursome, so juicy. Some little crunchy like carrots and beetroot, I think it was. It was so beautiful and also innovative. I really liked it. And the atmosphere there was really nice and laid back. I loved the interiors. And now I think Gordon Ramsay's burger has been bumped down below to Somewhere Cafe being top spot. Now, next up is probably the most hotly anticipated place because obviously we all know I love an afternoon tea. I've never been to afternoon tea at Harrods. Now, I believe that Harrods actually have multiple places that you can do afternoon tea at. So you could go to the Tiffany Blue Box Cafe, which, side note, it is on the list of restaurants, but I've actually been before and I was not impressed with it. As I've been before, I counted that as my time going and I just was not that impressed. So I didn't have high hopes. We went for afternoon tea at the Georgian and oh my word. It takes a lot for me to be impressed with afternoon tea because I've been to so many. But this might have made it to my top 3 afternoon teas in London. As you walk in, there is this gorgeous chandelier. There is a live pianist. The staff were lovely. We got our little water. There were so many teas to pick from. My sister-in-law had a nice little champagne. The first thing they brought out were the sandwiches. The sandwiches were so soft. The bun was so soft. And the flavours were really nice because they were classic, but kind of with a bit of an edge to them. Rich. Oh, wow.
Wow, I want to say that everything.
You don't have to, it's refillable. And I also like that there weren't just sandwiches, there were also the little savoury things as well, which I always think is a nice touch to add a bit of variety. And you got unlimited, you could have as many sandwiches as you flipping want. There was nothing holding me back. I could get as many sandwiches as I wanted, and that I did. I got 2 rounds, thank you very much. Then we moved on to the scones, and my sister-in-law and I said that it was the best jam we've ever had. They had a trio of jams and you could pick which one. Obviously I went for all 3 because obviously I wanted to try all the different ones they had. But this strawberry and raspberry jam, it was tart but it was sweet. Why has no one made a strawberry and raspberry jam before? It was absolutely flipping delectable and I want to have a jar of it, but I don't think they do a jar of it. It was so good. The scone was warm, it was presented beautifully. Then we moved on to the sweet treats and again, we were so pleasantly surprised because we kind of aren't stewed fruit gals and we thought they weren't going to be good. But every single one that we tried was delicious. I actually don't think there is a bad thing I can say about the Georgian. I don't think there was. The seats were comfortable. The atmosphere, it felt so opulent and it felt really in keeping with Harrods. I honestly loved it. I really did. And I thought I wasn't going to. It was an incredible time. And I would recommend it to anyone who's coming to London. I really would. It was so flipping good. It was expensive. It was £90 per person, which is expensive, but afternoon teas are expensive. And that's kind of in the price point of all the higher end ones. But it was delicious. I didn't think it was going to be that delicious. Now, in the same vein of sweet treats, I then went to the Prada Cafe, and it was a weird vibe in the Prada Cafe. I can't put my finger on why it felt weird. I think potentially it just felt a little bit tired. It felt like it had seen its heyday and it had moved on. Now, I went in not enthralled by the concept. I didn't have high hopes because I don't love the gimmick of these designer places doing restaurants, because I think stay in your lane. You do designer clothing really well, stick at that. Let's not cross over into the food, because I just feel like there've been so many and they've never gotten it right, i.e. the Tiffany Blue Box Cafe, which wasn't great. My sister ordered this savoury bread thing and it was yet again a pleasant surprise how flippin' delectable it was. It was so good. And I got this gorgeous chocolate croissant. The staff weren't great, I won't lie, and it was quite slow service. The vibe was just really weird. It kind of felt like your eyes were going a bit fizzy and like out of focus. It was a fun concept and they'd done it really well. I wouldn't really go again for the vibe of everything, but I would go again for that flipping savoury thing my sister got. It was so delicious and I was so pleasantly surprised. So far we've got the Georgian at the top spot, and then just below the Georgian we've got the Somewhere Cafe. Now next up we're going to go to their new place, which was advertised everywhere. When you walk up the lift, it honestly felt like you're in Times Square. There were these big screens and it was called the Grill on 5th. This is a steak place, so you know the rule. If you're going to somewhere that does steak, you have to get the steak, because you can't go to somewhere and judge it on something that they're not their strong suit. So I went and I got the steak and I was not impressed at all. I think when you're paying that sort of a price for something, you want the whole experience. Again, service was so slow. It was so hard to get their attention, and they didn't come over to us and they didn't serve us. We were honestly there for 3 hours because everything was so slow. Now, the steak was tough and chewy. A little tough. Wasn't good. The sauces were incredible and the little sides that we got were nice. The roast potatoes were really crispy and all the other bits were yummy. But the steak was so bad. I feel like they've put all their effort into everything else. It was nice to look out over London. However, there was a lot of scaffolding up, which was a bit of a hindrance. But you know, we'll take that with a pinch of salt because it's not their fault that there was the scaffolding up. I wouldn't go back. I absolutely would not go. And I thought that that would take the top spot because this girl loves a steak. I freaking love a steak. When I walked in, the woman was so lovely, but then the service just went from there. So it was a bit odd. Yeah, I don't really know what happened there. Now the last place that we need to tackle, have I saved the best to last? It's called Chai Wu. When we walked in, we were ready to be wowed because it honestly felt like I was in a James Bond movie. It was dark, it was mysterious. The servers were so suave and cool, and they were also really nice, really good servers in Chai Wu. The price point, Chai Wu was the most expensive of all the restaurants. For the amount that you're getting, the edamame beans alone were like £12. I have never been somewhere that expensive in my life. It was so extortionate and the food was not good. I didn't even want to finish some of the things. That's how bad it was. It was like the frying, you could taste the frying oil. The sushi actually almost tastes like supermarket sushi. I kind of thought it would be like sticks and sushi, you know, quite nice, fresh. It was really not good. And the one thing that we really did like, I love the sort of chicken salty bits that you get from a Chinese, and I was really excited. I thought it was going to be delicious. But these chicken salty bits, there was about 4 in there, and then underneath it was all like lettuce and cabbage to bulk it out. I thought that was so cheeky, but it was delicious. That was the only thing that was really delicious. The duck spring rolls had a really funny taste to them, and yeah, the sushi was just not good. And I would not recommend it to a friend. All in all, Harrods had some real hits and real misses. There was a lot of inconsistency from Harrods. I will say the Georgian was unbelievable, like top notch. But then when we go down to Chai Wu, it wasn't it. It wasn't it. And I don't know if it's old and they need like a little revamp. I looked at the reviews afterwards and they're not great. Let me read you. This place defies logic, honestly. I'm baffled as to why it even exists. First off, they charge you just the privilege of sitting at the table, and a vegetarian soup for £40. I mean, that kind of says it all, doesn't it? This review. It is weird, and I don't really know how they've managed to make it a thing. I had a really, really fun time filming this, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. What one would you want to go back to, and what one wouldn't you touch? Have you been to any of the Harrods places before? I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd really like to try out their food hall. Not the food hall where you buy stuff and take it away. They actually have like an in-dining food hall, like sort of box park, where you can have multiple restaurants and all sit around. They have Tom Kerridge fish and chips, which I've also seen. They're quite controversial. £47 for fish and chips. They're taking the mick, aren't they? Anyway, love you all loads. Subscribe down below. It is free to do if you want to do it. You don't have to, but you can. It means a lot to me. And let me know any other videos that you want to see. I love you all loads. Peace out, pods. Bye!